Welcome back, everybody. Today I have a very special guest. We have Jess Perreca. He is a great influence on me from Instagram, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Welcome, Jess. Thanks so much for being here with me.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, like I said in the intro, I don't know how long I've actually been following you on Instagram, but it's pretty impressive. I saw some pictures where you were, coming up on 600 pounds, over 500, and I know what it's like being over 400. So kind of give me a rundown on kind of some of the stuff that you went through with that.
Yeah. So, obviously, I've been overweight, obese, whatever you want to call it. And it kind of stemmed and started from, the early ages of 6 years old. And, I would go on through had tough times. Elementary school was pretty tough because, kids kind of, they told it to your face, not necessarily. They were just brutally honest with you about, the teasing and everything. And then,
no doubt,
junior high, that would kind of dip a little bit, but I was still the biggest, kid ever, always the biggest kid in the room. High school, they still did it, but they did it behind your back. And you had to kind of figure out, obviously who your true friends were, that type of thing. But I was always, pretty much, popular kid in school. I had many friends. I just was always large. Fast forward to my adult years, as years progress, I would just always, put on the weight. However, during that time period, I would try every single diet that you could imagine. Name a diet, and I probably have at least, tried it. And then also, I can probably count on both of my hands as many times as I've, lost 100 pounds or very close to 100 pounds and then gained it back. So, 2017, I found myself in the hospital. And it was probably the first sign that the weight or how massive I was bigger than anything that I could ever control. Because I always thought, I'll be honest with you, I thought I was immortal. I really did. I never had any of the, being unhealthy and not having the best, blood work and that type of thing and those issues. And I did have, health issues, but for the most part, I always thought that, I'm going to, my weight's not going to get in the way. Well, I was in the hospital in 2017 because I had ulcers on both my legs. So I basically had holes in my legs, and that was a big, huge wake-up call to me because for me, it was a sign that my body was deteriorating and that now this is obviously something that I couldn't control. And it was at my lowest point ever. And I can remember saying to myself that if I don't do something drastic or I don't do something, I'm either going to be permanently disabled or I'm not going to be here much longer. And that was, I was totally on that, ticking time bomb type, slope. While in the hospital, and I had dabbled in looking into weight loss surgery in the past. I had looked at, the lap band. I had looked at, the other, but I didn't really educate myself. Plus, I also had preconceived notions of what weight loss surgery was. So, how there's the stigma of, weight loss surgery is taking the easy road, that type of thing.
Right.
I will pretty much battle anyone that wants to have that debate because as far as I'm concerned, it's still a path, no matter what path you take. And sometimes even I can make claims and debates that even after weight loss surgery, there's a complete different set of rules that you have to kind of follow and go by. It sometimes makes the process and the journey, harder. And I can say that for a fact because I've tried to do it both ways. So I would end up having Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, surgery. I would lose 200 and about 230, 35 pounds total. And then 2020 hit. And in the year 2020, I gained 90 pounds of that weight that I had lost after having weight loss surgery. Once again, I was back in the stages of, oh my God, this is, I'm repeating again. I'm getting back into my old ways, old habits. I think the situation is my routine totally changed because now instead of going to an office every day, I was working from home. I was accessible to all of the foods and everything. Instead of preparing stuff, putting it in a bag or putting it in something, taking it to work, and then that was all that I had. So all I had to eat was what I had and taken with me to work. So now I'm at home, and it wasn't necessarily, not going to sugarcoat it. Yeah, I fell into some, eating bad again, and I had gained 90 pounds. So I had, and let me know, cut me off if I'm going, out of, if you have questions.
No. I think 2020 hit us all. I gained about probably somewhere between 40 and 50 pounds back myself.
Look, I will honestly say that it's one excuse that, if you want to call it an excuse, whatever, it's one thing that every single person in this world had to deal with that in some sort of fashion.
Right.
So I'm not saying that it was the ultimate reason for my weight gain. I was putting the food back into my mouth, but it did. It kind of, it gave me the reason to do wrong again. And
right.
where I could have. So I look at it like this. That time around, yes, I had the weight loss surgery. I lost a lot of weight, but I didn't really work on or fix what was above the shoulders. And the second time around, what woke me up again is I had two semi-reoccurring type dreams. And they were dreams of my daughters they were talking to me as if I was already 6 feet in the ground. As an example, hey, Dad, Daddy, I rode my bike for the first time today. I know you weren't there to see it, but I just wanted to, that type of thing. Like they were writing a story to me, and I'm, and I don't know if you've ever experienced or had one of those dreams where you wake up crying.
It's been a while, but I've had those, yeah.
And that's what happened to me. And I said to myself, everything that I did, everything, this weight loss surgery, I felt like it was all for nothing at that point, and I didn't want it to be, and I made a promise to myself that I would find something that was going to permanently work for me going forward, that I would stick to, that I would commit to and be fully committed to, no matter what, no matter life getting in the way, because I live by my motto now, truly, as don't make life the excuse, make life the reason. Make life your reason, not your excuse. Life is going to get in the way. Stuff is going to be thrown at you that is either in your control or out of your control, and you have to adapt and find ways to where, for me, I did not have to cope with those things by turning to food.
Yeah, so for me with 2020, so I've been keto for about 5 years, and at my most, I lost a little, like over 150 pounds or so, because I started at 420 and got down to 275. Awesome. And I got down to where to touch where I was at a 5X shirt. I just started buying 5X t-shirts, and I was wearing 50-inch pants, and I got down to 2X shirts into 38-inch pants. And then 2020 comes along, and now I think it's not necessarily an excuse, like you said, but it's something that we all had to deal with, but it turned our routines upside down. So as someone, and you touched on the whole thing, getting your, above the shoulders right. That's one of the biggest things you have to work on. And I still struggle with to this day, that being able to understand yourself and understand, what motivates you, like, how am I going to be with food? How am I going to be with, everything? So in the time from when I started to where 2020 hit, right around the time we were working from home, I had planned my life around, planned keto around my life. I didn't plan my life around keto. I planned my life, my life or to keto to fit my life. And then when my life changed, it was very difficult to take a hold of it. Like you said, I was there. The fridge was there. I was home by myself during the day. And not that I need supervision, but I mean, it's easy to go downstairs because the cats are meowing or something. You want to let the cat out, or, something's going on downstairs, or someone knocks at the door during the day or whatever. Then you're downstairs. Oh, I can go get these cold cuts, or, or then like you're at home and you're not going and seeing anybody, and you're kind of depressed about being kind of shut in. And then, you start hitting those fast food restaurants that you haven't had in years. You start going and getting the takeout food that you haven't had in a long, long time, because it's easy, and you kind of start to fall back into that food makes me feel better.
I had a transfer addiction. I've never been a coffee drinker.
Right.
I am now. You know this.
Yeah.
I never, before my surgery, was never a coffee drinker. What happened for me is transfer addiction, and they'll call it that. So I used to have to go through a drive-through. That was like I don't know, man. It like made me feel good, I guess. I mean, I would go before I went to work, I went through the drive-through. After work, I went through the drive-through. And then I would come home and I would eat whatever meal we were having, whether I liked it or not, But for me, then I transferred. I don't know if it was just something about going through a drive-through would make me feel better. So I said, you know what? I'm going to try, iced coffee, And I started going through Dunkin' Donuts. However, I was going through Dunkin' Donuts getting iced coffee with all the caramel pumps in it and all the sugar in it. And, and I went through all that. So that was like my transfer addiction. Now, obviously, I found something that works for me that fits, keto, and I've adapted to keto, and that's been, since November 29th of 2020, after I was having those dreams. That's where I had tried what I would call the no sugar, no grains type diet, and I had tried that in the past. Probably the best thing that had ever worked for me was cutting out the sugars, grains, carbs, whatever you want to call it. But I got bored with it because there wasn't a whole lot of information out there for me. So when I found keto, and keto kind of blew up. I mean, like as far as, just I was never going to be without finding an idea or making it fun for me. And I feel that way, to this day. And that's what I've done since November 29th. And, I'm proud to say, right now I've lost that 90 pounds that I had gained in 2020 and some, and I'm at my new lowest weight recorded, since having, surgery. So I started at 581 pounds and now I'm down to 340, and I couldn't be happier.
Well, that's amazing. That's kind of where I started. Like I started 340 at beginning of this year, and I did a 21-day water fast and lost about 40 pounds. And I've gained about 15 of that back. So when I started this fast, I'm on a fast right now from basically Sunday night to this Sunday. And I was about 315. So about 15 pounds of that I gained back. And I weighed myself today, which I try to stay away from the scale because I figured that there's a lot of damage the scale is going to do to me. And I already fight enough of my own battles. I don't need that one helping out,
Yeah.
So I do just kind of step on every once in a while just to kind of get an idea of where I'm at, especially during a fast. And I've kind of cut that 15 pounds down already. And like, this is day 5. And I understand that's a lot of water weight. There is, and some of it will come back, and that's fine. And especially, I know that my birthday's coming up next week, and we'll probably go have something for dinner that's not, that's not keto. And I know that later next month, we're going to be going to Alabama for a vacation, and we'll probably have some non-keto food things while we're on vacation. But I just kind of want, with these fasts that I do, just to kind of get myself in a mindset prior to that, I guess. So, I wanted to touch on kind of the misconceptions of like the different kind of weight loss surgeries, because when I was at my heaviest, that was something that we talked about, my wife and I, and she's an RN, and she was at the time on a unit that would deal with pancreatic issues, and they would get the overflow of all the people coming in that had the bypasses and all that stuff, that things were not going well for them. Things were coming undone. Things weren't going, the surgeries were kind of not botched or whatever, but there's definitely things that go wrong with weight loss surgery.
Sure.
And so that was something that she was scared about. So we had a long conversation about it, because I always thought it would be the easy way out. Like you said, I figured, why just have this weight loss surgery and I'll be skinny and I'll be able to do what I want and live how I want. And that's obviously not the case. So we talked about it, and she said, because of the risks, we would try going like low carb first and see if we could find success in that. And then if we didn't, then we could revisit and go down the path of the surgery. And luckily for me at the time in 2016, late 2016, when we started this journey, there was a plethora more information out there than there was just a year before that. Because I remember hearing about in like the mid 2000s when the Atkins diet blew up. And everybody was talking about it, but there was so much misinformation about that diet, because people would say, well, you got to worry about your cholesterol. You got to take medicine to lower your cholesterol from that diet, and it's not really healthy. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that came with that scared me out of doing it. And I'm like, I love pizza. I love French fries. I love bread. And that was my idea of what carbs were. So when we made the transition, we started from scratch. We went to the grocery store probably a handful of times, going through the aisles with a fine-tooth comb to find out what had carbs, because we just didn't know. Because you have this, the ideas in your head, just like with weight loss surgery, of what's healthy and what's not. So, you think, well, quinoa is supposed to be healthy for us, but that's 36 carbs a serving. This is supposed to be healthy. Oh, milk's 12 grams a serving per 8 ounces, So there's definitely a learning curve with anything that we do to make our lives better, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where the big misconception, I think the big draw to weight loss surgery is because people think, well, I wouldn't be able to stay off the carbs. I've never been able to be successful at diets. So let's go with the weight loss surgery, even though that's a whole basic other transformation in of itself, where basically you're kind of forced to go into almost like a ketogenic diet almost, but you're almost forced to not eat anything bigger than this little bit, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's something you probably experienced.
I experienced a lot of that. And to this day, like I'm still learning like what keto is all about. I mean, I still feel like I'm in my honeymoon phase of doing keto, but it has worked for me. Because it's so simple to doing the no sugar, no grains like I did before, which, worked. It's probably, it was, I can deal with that. Like where some people, oh man, I got to have my carbs or whatever. And now sometimes I feel like even with my own family that I am the keto, or not so much the keto, the carb police, because everything that they're like eating, I'm looking at, oh, that has this many carbs, that, and I'm thinking to myself, man, one serving of that and my whole day of how many carbs I, fit into my plan for a day is, would be gone. And so, it's not, obviously we know it, keto and everything is not for everybody, but I think for how the scale, the size, and when I say scale, like scale of like my body frame and just, how big and massive, that I was, I really think to myself that it's just, I've learned that sugar, I don't do well with sugar, and I don't do well with carbs. It's a huge sign that those were the things that were destroying me. So I try my best in everything that I do now going forward to avoid those things, at all costs. Now, do I find things that, do I fit in different types of desserts or different types of things? I just try to find, the keto type, the keto type, things. But I also try to take into account, unless I'm going to splurge a little bit on myself, I still stick to a certain carb count. And I do 20 total carbs. I do total, not net. Now, when I want to kind of incorporate something and give me a treat, then I'll play for that day the net carb, type game. But for the most part, and the only reason why I do that, and it was very good advice that I was given by someone in the keto community, is if I stick to that routine, it will help me avoid the other stuff that could get me in trouble. By playing the net carb game where, and that's the only reason why I do that. So and I'm not going to lie, there may be on a few occasions, a few days where, I may dip into 24 or 25, but for the most part, I hover right around that 20, 20 total carbs every day. And that's been what I've known and what I've done. And I feel like as I continue to do this and, being adapted to everything that I am, telling my body that I'm doing to it, down the road, I don't feel like, I'm always going to have to deprive myself of only the 20. I'll be able to figure things out as I'm working on what's above the shoulders and everything like that. So I guess the whole reason why I'm bringing this up is because I think you were talking a little bit earlier, touching on maybe, and it made me think about if I had any regrets about me doing weight loss surgery. And I don't necessarily have regrets of weight loss surgery, but I do wish that I would have known about keto and just how well I would have reacted to keto, and that maybe if I had done keto earlier and learned keto at that point in time, that I may not have had to have, surgery. Because my thought process is, look, I altered something that was not meant to be altered. So that's the one knock that I have against weight loss surgery, is everything that they rearranged and everything, and they did for me and gave me a tool. And by all means, all it is a tool. I still, to this day, and even back then, had to do all of the work myself. Yeah, there's some magic at the very beginning where it speeds up the weight loss, but I still had to do the work. However, I still have this in my head where you altered something that God or whatever did not intend to be rearranged and moved around and all that. So that, and I still play with that in my head each and every day, but I am grateful for what the tool gave me. The tool gave me a sense of purpose to figure out what I needed to figure out above the shoulders. And this, since November, these last months have been, I'm contributing, I'm making 2021 like my year to like get things like absolutely right and then go forward from there.
Oh yeah, of course. Like you were saying, like the whole thing about the weight loss surgery, and I didn't mean if it came across like that, like, you regretting it or whatever. I think I was in a fortunate situation in the beginning where, where I was able to kind of like, and I was to kind of weigh the pros and cons. And I didn't feel like I was necessarily doomed. I mean, I kind of felt like I was going down the path that like my mom had gone down and all that stuff where, you just kind of lose total control, start having strokes and heart attacks and all that. And I was having leg pain, and you mentioned having the ulcers on your legs. And before I started doing this, I had gone in to have I had a kidney stone, and they gave me some I forget what the name of the medicine was, but basically help dilate and help flush things out, I guess. Can't remember what it's called, but it's like, and it broke my legs out real bad. And I knew that there was some definite issues with that. I was kind of allergic to the medication. And I mean, I still have kind of some scars and some stuff on my legs from that stuff. So, like I would sit at work and my legs would hurt. And I'm like, I talked about this last week. But I know like you kind of have that, like, well, this is my fate. I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to get older. I'm going to get sicker. And there's not a lot I can do about it. I'm just going to continue on until I die, and I think that is one of the things I think makes people give up a lot, because they're kind of like, well, I've been kind of following, the guidelines and eating what I'm supposed to. I'm eating all this grain and I'm cutting back on my fat, and I'm, and sugar is just an empty calorie. It's not really that bad for me. But I mean, I don't know. How old are you?
I'm 42.
42. So I'll be 42 next week. So we both went through that whole snack well thing where they're like, here, this is fat free. Eat as much as you want. And I'm like, or rice-a-roni, or, like the San Francisco treat, like my grandma would be like, this is low in fat. You can eat as much as you want. And I'm like, sweet, 4 bowls in,
Or how about 6 bowls of Honey Nut Cheerios? Because it says it lowers your cholesterol.
Oh, dude, I love Honey Nut Cheerios, cereal in general. So like, that's a hard thing for me even now, like with like the Wonder, whatever brand it is, keto friendly cereal that they have at Walmart, and all the different cereals from all the other brands and stuff that are coming out. It's good that they're like between $7 and like $13 a box. Otherwise I'd be sitting there just pouring bowl after bowl because I want it. I like cereal. I love cereal. Still, that wasn't obviously a comfort thing for me. It sounds like it was for you too, but I mean, luckily I've been able to get my head right, and I pay attention to how I feel.
Yeah.
So like if I have the big bowl of the Wonder cereal and I eat that and I'm like, oh, it was so good. The next morning I wake up and like hard to roll over. My back is sore. My knees are sore. And I stand up and I'm like, oh, I want to go back to bed. That's not where I want to be.
And isn't it amazing how now that we're treating ourselves well with the food that we're eating, if you eat something that's crazy like that, right away how it has affected your body.
Yeah. Like the same thing, like you were talking about the difference between like net carbs. Like you can go in and be cool under your net carbs and have, like the low carb tortillas that are like 4 grams of net carbs. And then you can, well, I've got, an extra couple net carbs and go and have a Quest bar. Your total carbs are like 200 for the day.
Yeah.
You know?
Because it adds up, and like everyone, so that's why anyone that might be, stumbling upon this and is trying to figure out or find information about the keto diet, I definitely recommend, obviously maybe starting at 20 is like that target number. And right. You had touched on Atkins, and to be completely honest with you, Atkins is what, if you go back and look at the history and the research, Atkins is what started and really the research of the 20 carbs per day. They were pretty much the markers and the people that had put that number out there. But it's stuck because I think it it does work. It's that smaller type number. And for some people, you know, I know people on keto that they're doing 35, 40 and upwards of 50 a day and still losing weight. So it's just a matter of finding what works for you. I stick with 20 because 20 seems to be, you know, my point. And I've not really dabbled in going higher, except for when I've splurged a little bit with doing, and then I switched around by following net carbs because I'm still eating keto themed or keto type, you know, meals that may, you know, up that number because of, you know, obviously sugar, alcohols, and whatever else may be in there. But that's only on certain occasions and special occasions, I would say, because the only, you know, it's kind of like now, oh, there's a birthday, there's this, there's that. Oh, let's make something, you know, a little bit special for, you know, for Jess, or I'll even, you know, make it myself, you know. And that makes it fun too, because I never experimented. I've never been a chef. I've never been one to. I wanted my meals prepared for me because they were such bad stuff. My meals were pizzas. You know what I mean? I ate pizza. I could, even to this day, I could eat pizza 7 days a week if I wanted to.
Oh, it's so good though.
And I would be so I'd be so fine with that. I would be fine.
So that was like the thing. So like our roles shifted. So pre-keto, like my wife did a lot of the cooking, and then post-keto, I shifted and do most of the cooking because the rules change when you're keto cooking. And it just kind of worked for me. And I was successful in making things, you know, whether it's desserts or whatever, making pizza crusts or whatever. Because when we started keto, it was like, well, how can we make this? And we want to make this. And all of the substitution foods come through. And I was successful in making those. And now, like, I have the YouTube channel where I go and try different things, but I try to showcase more often than not how I do things, like how I cook food, even though we will do some taste testing. Like I went to Aldi's this week and I've got some things that I brought back from Aldi that I want to try on camera. Some things that I will probably just kind of show on camera, but not taste on camera. But things like that. But I kind of find that it is kind of a double-edged sword when I'm trying to showcase my life, but then it's my preferred way of eating is keeping my carbs as close to zero as possible. So if I have a day where I have like 20 or 30 carbs, it's not the end of the world. So if I can go like 3 or 4 days and have no carbs, then I don't really have to pine over like having the keto ice cream or if I have, you know, a keto tortilla or some of the Costco the hot dog buns. That's like a total game changer. And it like hurts my feelings because I know if I eat them too often, I'm going to feel bad, but they're actually really delicious.
Sometimes, I mean, and that's just it. I mean, don't, you know, it's like sometimes you just, yeah.
I mean, we only live once, right? But we want to make this one time as eventful and I guess productive as we can. So not treating food as like a reward, which is really difficult to do because that's something that's always been a thing for us. So, I mean, our society, you know, food is a reward at every step of the way, right? So trying to get away from that. But yeah, like giving in and eating that stuff and having a Quest bar from time to time, or I know that we're going to be going on that road trip. We're going to be driving like 16 hours down to Alabama. So we'll be in a car. So we'll be, you know, having like the energy drinks and we're going to have whatever we have, like whatever kind of snacks we put in the car.
So these next months for me, you know, June, July, August, September, all the way through October, I'm going to be in planes, traveling, and it's going to challenge me. Next weekend, going on vacation, you know, with my family. I want to enjoy that. So if you know, and we're going to watch, you know, we're going to Mackinac Island, it's called, and that's like home of, you know, a lot of bad type, foods, fudge, ice cream, all that type of stuff. And I'm going to avoid going to that type of food. But it's going to be it's going to be a challenge, and I'm definitely going to eyeball it, while we go. But I guess the sense of like, the difference, like what I was saying with fixing what's above the shoulders, is I have to learn how to be able to, if I want that, to be okay with wanting that. And that's where I'm still struggling a little bit, because I'm now where I never was before. I'm scared to have those types of foods, because to me, it's like a trigger. And I look at it like, okay, I went this weekend and I had a little bit of ice cream. So now now we're back, and Wednesday comes along. Oh, well, I had a little bit of ice cream over the weekend. It didn't seem to do anything to me. So yeah, let's go out Wednesday night and have some ice cream. And then, okay, Wednesday. Now, Saturday comes along. Yeah, let's go have, let's go get another ice cream. That's what I don't want to happen. And I have to learn to adapt to that. So my thing right now is, well, if I avoid it, or I substitute things for what it is because for the last month and a half, I've been saying, I want ice cream. I want ice cream. I want ice cream. Now I know there's other types of ice creams, but there's nothing better than ice cream.
The real deal is always going to be the best, but
but I'm just right now, I'm choosing not to have my goals, and what I want is more important to me than that little bit of ice cream at this point in time. That does not mean that I will never, ever, ever have a cone or some sort of ice cream ever again.
Yeah, of course. Even for us, like going down to Alabama, like we'll get there's a pizza place that we get a pizza, you know what I mean? Or we'll get a couple of pizzas because there's gonna be like 9 of us. But I don't go out of my way to have a lot of things that I can't get normally. I think that's a big thing is for me, and I don't know if you found this or not, if you've experienced this, like on my birthday, like I forget what I got last year, but the year before that, I went and got White Castles.
Okay.
Because like the double cheeseburger White Castles, I've been thinking about them it's been years since I've had them. So I went, got some French fries, got some mozzarella sticks, because their French fries and the marinara sauce, it was a big thing to me when I was big. I lived about a block away from one. They were open all night. Stop by, grab it whenever I wanted, So that was something I was like, well, I really want that. And it wasn't that it was disappointing, but it didn't have the same appeal that it used to. And a lot of the foods don't have the same appeal that they used to. So like if you have like a bowl of real macaroni and cheese, well, is it as good as you remember? Probably not. So I think that's a transition that I'm trying to make, and being realistic with myself. Like, yes, I know I'm going to have foods from time to time that I shouldn't. Well, shouldn't. We're adults here, but I just realized that things aren't going to taste as good as I want them to, or remember them, because your brain plays that trick. Like you said, you never used to drink coffee and stop into the drive-thru every day. Like that's one thing that I find when we're out running errands on like a Saturday or something. We'll be out running errands. We're running to, Walmart, Target, going here. And you would always used to stop in somewhere and get like a treat. Stop in at McDonald's and get something, or stop in at Dairy Queen and get something, or whatever it was, because you've been running all day. Let's stop and get something quick. But like when you're doing the ketogenic diet, there's not a whole lot out there that you want. Like, yeah, I could drive by McDonald's and grab a couple like plain hamburger patties, but I've got better hamburger at home.
So now instead of going to, those, I go to a convenience store. Or if I do end up going to the gas station, I'm going in, and you know what I'm looking for? Some sort of like beef jerky or a beef stick or something like that. That's like the go-to, snack now, as opposed to, and with those, you still have to turn around and you still have to look at the label on those, because those can be bad.
Yeah. So that's a big thing about that.
Yeah.
There's so much sugar in all that. I did find at Aldi the other day, one of the things that I found were these huge, they're like about a foot long or better. And they're these beef sticks. And I think they're a carb appeal. Like it's like a less than 3 carbs for the whole package. There's 3 giant beef sticks. And there's a chicken one. I think pork and chicken is what it is. And I got those to try once my fast is over. But little things like that, just finding, are you a member of the Keto Men's Club on Facebook?
I am.
Okay. So I had posted on there the other day. I was like, I'm looking for smoked sausage. I used to buy the Oscar Mayer Naturals.
Okay.
Yeah. They were like less than a carb a serving, and everything else is 4 or 5 carbs or more a serving. So there wasn't a lot for me to find. So I found those, and those just kind of disappeared from all the stores. Like first Walmart didn't have them anymore, and then Kroger didn't have them, and then Meijer didn't have them. And you're probably in a region where you may not have all these stores, but they just disappeared. And then I was kind of left without a good option that wasn't like $9 a package. Because, I mean, they were like $4 a package, but that's still not $9 a package.
Yeah.
And then I went Saturday, or what day is today? I don't even know what it was like. No, it wasn't Saturday. It was like Wednesday. I went Wednesday morning to Kroger, or Thursday morning to Kroger, and they had an all beef one for their brand for like $3.
Okay.
Like, okay, that's 1 carb a serving. I can do it. Because I really just want something like some peppers and onions mixed up with some smoked sausage. Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's, I think, the thing that we run into where we have to, like the beef jerky, you have to look at the labels. You have to look at the label every time. You can't just eat, because they can change the recipe and not tell you.
Yeah. Just because you think it's healthy, it's not. And just because it says keto on the packaging does not mean that it's really keto. You still gotta look at it. You still gotta figure things out, because they will hide. And 9 out of 10 times, if it says keto on it, it's, in my eyes, it's really not. It's really not keto.
I mean,
it's a ploy to get you. I mean, it's for the ones that aren't necessarily. And I'm not knocking anyone. I mean, I'm sure I've had stuff that says keto on it. But I guess what I'm getting at is, it's a mark. Where you wish they put the words keto on it because they were regulated to put some sort of wording on packaging, more so than it's a ploy for it's a marketing campaign. Attention grabber, and everyone, keto. Oh, this must be good. This must be good for you. And then it also plays if it says keto on the bag, I can eat the whole bag. I should be able to eat the whole bag and be okay.
Yeah.
And it's just not, it's the furthest from the truth, it used to be like when I was doing, the Weight Watchers diet, and, they kind of switched out of doing it, but there used to be a lot of Weight Watchers type foods. And I'd find myself, well, if I'm on the Weight Watchers diet and it's Weight Watchers food, then, I should be able to have 2 of these instead of just 1, and I'll be okay. Well, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I think that recently, like Weight Watchers finally went. It may have been a couple of years now. Time as of late has been kind of weird for me, so it's hard. Like a couple of years could be last week, but I know that they went to like eggs or like a 0-point food, and I was like, well, I'm on Weight Watchers, just eat eggs all day and be good to go. No points. I mean, the idea is like whether you're tracking Weight Watchers or you're going into MyFitnessPal and tracking your carbs and your calories, however you're doing it, there's going to be something that, whether you're doing it in your head, kind of like how I do, kind of intuitively, because like I said, I try to go like a normal daily preferred meal for me will be some hamburger, some broccoli, and some scrambled eggs. And then that's big. It's going to be big because I'm trying to go. I usually do OMAD. So,
okay.
Except for like my coffee in the morning, when I'm fasting, I'll have just black coffee. If I'm not fasting, then I'll have the cream in it. But I mean, that kind of breaks my fast. I'm not really doing OMAD, but I'm only having one actual physical meal a day and towards the afternoon. So that helps me from snacking, I think, and I feel better when I do that. So I think when we're dealing with all the stuff that's keto, I think with any big phenomenon such as, it happened with gluten-free, it happened with fat-free, it happened with everything, they're going to slap that on the label as fast as they can because they know they can get people's attention. They're going to get free advertising from people like me who will go and buy it, try it out, look at the ingredients and go, whether thumbs up or thumbs down, whether you should buy it yourself. Or you're going to have the people coming through who just don't know because dietary stuff is complicated. Keto may be one of the simplest ones, but not if you're just starting out. There's so much confusing and conflicting information that I feel really bad for people starting keto today.
I would agree. Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and that's why you have to do the research. I always say do the research, but don't do too much research. Sometimes I feel like when you overindulge, like you just totally kind of like saturate yourself with all of this information out there because there's so much of it that you get overwhelmed, and then you're like, oh, there's no way that I could never do this. Oh, I gotta turn. So I gotta read this label, and I gotta figure out this. I gotta figure out this. I got to do math now. I got to do math to figure out, you know what I mean? It's like, so that's like, that's the other thing too, with me only trying to stick to total carbs as opposed to net carbs, because there's the possibility of mistakes now, because you do have to do the math. You do have to end up. And when not knowing how those carbs are really, what is generating those carbs inside that food by the ingredients, that plays a part in it too, from where the carbs are coming from. So there's hidden stuff in there too that doesn't always make its way into the numbers on the label, because they can, for different types of sweeteners and everything, the biggest one out there, mannitol, that's as closest to sugar as you can. But if they put it on a packaging, then it means, so Atkins of all companies used to use that in a lot of their peanut butter cups and that type of thing.
I think they still do on a lot of it.
They do with the ones like with the candy coating, like the where it's almost like the peanut butter type M&Ms and stuff. But a lot of them, they've taken it out and they've substituted it because for allulose, because of the mannitol being, it's your body accepts it as it's sugar. But if they put that on there, if they really put it on a label, then they can adjust and make it look like that the carbs aren't really there because they're using that specific, sugar alcohol as a substitute.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, especially with Atkins, like their meals, I've never really like Atkins as a doctor, Atkins as a person, Atkins as an ideology, I guess, is a lot better to stomach than like Atkins as a brand. Because I kind of feel that they put a lot of stuff out and maybe they didn't realize what they were doing. Or I think now that the keto community is out there and we're really kind of diving in and looking at the individual ingredients, because probably with Atkins, people didn't care if it had maltitol, maltodextrin, dextrose, if it had sorbitol, all these things that are in you can pick up any sugar-free candy that's in the average grocery store by Russell Stover's or Hershey's. They're all basically shit yourself candy. And they're going to blow your blood sugar out of the water and your insulin and everything out of the water. And then on top of that, is it not good for you? Then you're going to be on the toilet for an hour.
Yep. Especially with the Stover's.
Oh, my wife still loves the toffees, and she's like, I had them. It was a mistake, but I love them. I'm like, well, that's on you.
As long as you are planning a weekend to stay home.
Ooh.
But yeah, and it's, it's just education. It's really educating yourself. And there's definitely good resources out there. And it's kind of like, my philosophy is if you want to be a millionaire, follow millionaires. You know what I mean? Follow around millionaires. Not everyone has that luxury. But if you want to do well on keto, follow the ones that have come before you, that have done it well, and get the education, from them.
Yeah, but you got to even still be mindful and watch them, because even still, there's a lot of people that I even still follow to this day that are, or that will follow me, that I'll follow because they're keto, so I follow them back. And then I'm realizing that they're just trying to peddle ketones, or, they're not necessarily looking out for your best interest. They're trying to sell something. And I mean, granted, in the grand scheme of things, I'm trying to sell something. I'm trying to sell a podcast. I'm trying to sell a YouTube channel. I don't necessarily have any skin in the game when it comes to products at this point. I mean, that's not to say that probably won't be something that becomes a thing in the future. If I continue on with the YouTube and the podcast, then I'm going to have opportunities to look at companies, and then I have to make it myself to choose if that's a company that I want to support, or, whatever. But I think blindly following anybody who has keto in their name, you probably have seen, if you follow any keto hashtags on Instagram. Yeah. I get these where they're showing stuff with potatoes and toast, and I know it's somebody who's running the account who has no idea what they're doing. They don't even care that they're just using hashtags they know are popular, that 100%. Hashtags are going to show up
100%.
And then, but people, then you go through the comments, and whether or not those are bots too, I don't know, but they'll be like, "Oh, that looks awesome. That looks delicious. Oh, I want to eat that." It's like, but you obviously know it's potatoes and it's bread. Yeah, there's some shrimp in there, maybe some steak or whatever, but if it's like me being a dickhead and posting all my steaks and putting hashtag vegan. That's a crappy thing to do.
Yeah, and it is though. But I guess do your research and go after, whatever you table as the word success, or find someone that you are comfortable with. There's absolutely nothing wrong with researching and looking for a keto coach and someone that can coach you at the very beginning. Because, you can 100% do this on your own, and you can 100% do it with the power of social media the right way. Because you can, as you just said, you can kind of get yourself involved in some craziness, that's out there. But doing the correct research, asking the correct questions, and just knowing and feeling comfortable with people that you can reach out to, because you can follow those types of accounts, ask the questions, and that you're getting shit back. You know what I mean? That you're getting, that you're not getting the correct stuff back. And you should be able to identify that and know from almost from the jump, almost from the start. You'll know. And you'll know for the most part, you'll know their agenda at the same time.
Right.
What it is that they're trying to do.
So, yeah, I just think that it is kind of like, it is a very saturated market at this point. With various products and everything, there's always something new coming to the market. You can go to the grocery store once a week and usually find something new that they have, or now like Walmart selling Lily's chocolate or whatever the case is. So everybody's trying to bring that stuff into their stores, and navigating the minefield that is keto labeled products, I think is just about as bad as trying to, live and die by the scale,
Yeah. It is, I mean, but you know, it at the same time, it is. I will preach keto from the highest of mountains because um, I mean, especially for someone with joint pain, someone that has, diabetes. I mean, I've been grateful. I've been very lucky that I've not, I've even with me having the weight loss surgery and everything, even, pre-weight loss surgery. And I was never a pre-diabetic. I was never diabetic or anything like that. Thank God. And it amazes me that I never was. But I know for a fact that just by doing keto and getting a, blood glucose and, ketone, monitor and just being able to check those numbers and know, it's amazing how I don't use that to chase the number. I use it to figure out how foods have always affected, my body, and introducing either something new and how it's, spiked my, my blood, glucose, or has made my ketones at that point in time, dip. It is amazing how the body adjusts to the certain types of foods. And that's another tool and a level of being able to educate yourself on what it is those foods are really doing to you. Is it really telling you the truth by it saying, and then you can figure out and adapt to what substitutes of sugar actually affect you, because all that stuff, it does affect people in different ways, but it's a lot of education. I'm still learning. I don't claim to be a keto expert by any means, and I don't know that I, ever will.
No, I'm 5 years into this and I'm learning stuff like all the time. Things are changing every week,
It's crazy. It is crazy, and, but it's just education. It really is. And finding out at the end of the day, I will never fault someone for doing what it is that they want to do as long as they're doing something.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, like whatever diet you're trying to do, if you're trying to do whatever it is you think you need to do to better yourself, doing something, I mean, is going to be better than nothing if you think about it. Though, because people we'll call people that are in keto, they'll call us zealots and all that stuff. I will preach keto to anybody who will listen. My kids will say things to me like, well, had a flat tire, wouldn't have had the flat tire if I was keto. I mean, I'm on it to my kids, because they did it for a while. Now they're older and live on their own and can do whatever they want. But I will tell anybody who will listen, but if someone's like, well, I think vegan's the right for me. And I mean, well, try to get enough omega-3s, avoid omega-6s, try to get, try to avoid this, or, try to incorporate this into your diet or whatever, like avocado oil, stay away from vegetable oils, stay away from seed oils, because I think just with vegan, they've got just as much vegan trash labeled vegan that you can eat, just like keto. Like, I was excited that Birch Bender came out with like a chocolate frosting. I bought one and I was like so disappointed it didn't taste like frosting.
Yeah, that's going to happen along the way too, as you are going to be so. The keto community will push a lot of different things, and you will be so excited about it just for the letdown after you buy something and you get it in your own hands to try it. And it was like, oh my God, like, were these people paid to say that this was great? That type of, but try different things too.
Yeah.
I mean, go after it. Go do what makes you feel good. At the end of the day, it's about, I mean, if keto is the way for you, then do keto. If vegan is the way for you, then do vegan. Anything that's out there, if Weight Watchers is what you want to do because it works for you. Do Weight Watchers.
I mean, it all comes down to how well do you know yourself? How much have you invested in understanding yourself? Because I understand that how I am with food, I have to plan and mold the diet around how I look at food. I can't just throw that aside because that might work for a week or two, maybe a month. But realistically, I know what my relationship with food is, and that's going to take more than 5 years to change. That may never change because that's hardwired into me, how I am with food. Like, I have to have enough food. I won't go out to restaurants if they don't serve enough food. I understand. And that's something that I've been working on. And another reason why I fast, a couple times a year, like 7 days here, whatever, because I'm trying to take control back of how I look at food. And that's really hard. Like, I've been able to find success with the ketogenic diet and how I look at food and kind of keep that under control and stay away from sitting down and eating an entire, container of frosting or package of Oreos or whatever. I would bring home Oreos every night, stop at Dairy Queen. I would do all those things. And do I miss it from time to time?
100%.
Yeah, I do. I mean, but it's like mourning. You're going to, over time, we're going to lose people. And at the very beginning, it's going to be almost impossible. Like, you're not going to be able to live without that person. But over time, you still miss them. You still think about them. But it's not like a stabbing pain anymore in your chest, right? It takes a lot of time to get through like that. I think especially when we're dealing with food, like that mourning period. Well, I'm not having Oreos. Well, I can't just go and just pick up anything on willy-nilly from fast food anymore. I used to go and that would be dinner. I'd go to Taco Bell and pick up dinner for $20 for the whole family. Those things are out the window, and now I'm cooking a lot, even if I'm fasting. Like, I was filming videos yesterday, like, we were supposed to talk yesterday, and that fell through, and that was okay because I went ahead and filmed a couple videos. Well, half of a video, because I have some things that I have to let sit out for like 48 hours. And then I can film the other half of it. But, I mean, fasting and cooking, like, I made some, you probably saw it on Instagram already, but I made some chicken fried steak.
Yeah.
And it smelled amazing. I couldn't even lick my fingers or nothing. I just had to give it and when it was done, I put it in the bag, made lunches for my wife and put it all in the fridge and came downstairs. My son and ate it all. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll have to go. We have goals. We're goal-oriented people. And I have a lifestyle goal, because I don't want to say weight loss goal because I don't know I don't really have a weight goal. I have an idea in my head, and I have kind of an idea of where I want to get with what size clothes that I'm wearing, but that's very fluid because it's going to take me a long time to get there. So I try not to focus on that part because I know if I'm focusing on a number, I'm focusing on a size, even measurements, I'm going to be focusing on those things. And if I don't hit those, I'm going to be frustrated. But if every day I wake up in the morning and I feel good, that's going to keep me motivated. And if I have something that I shouldn't have and I wake up and like my knees hurt and walking down the stairs feels like I'm going to fall down the stairs, I'm not hitting my goals. And those I think, are the most obtainable goals that you can set for yourself.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's God, I feel so much better in these last 6, almost 7 months than any other period of time for me.
How long into your keto journey had you experienced it before, but did that awakening almost of mental clarity hit you?
I would say it was a good 3, almost 4 months before I just had like this, I don't know, just started bellowing out of me, I guess. I mean, and now, like, I have this glow about me now, when it comes to what I'm doing. And there's another group that's on Instagram that I'm a part of, and we meet in every Wednesday night, and it's been the greatest thing in the world for me, and I've been doing it since my start of keto, and that community has helped me in ways that I can't explain. But I was telling them that this is like the first time, like, in my life where I'm finally like looking at myself, whether it's in the mirror or whatever, and I'm actually liking what I see and my progress. The very first time of, like, in my weight, in this extreme weight loss that I've done, where now I just care about myself so much more now. I care about my well-being. I care about, just taking care of, myself. And it's funny because you would think getting married and, having a wife, and I have two beautiful daughters, and you would think that those would be things that, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking that for granted by any means, but what I'm saying is you would think that that would be more than enough to get stuff right. You know what I mean? And it was crazy that it didn't. And maybe I just needed an extra push to figure out just how, like, I now appreciate and understand just how important my family, is to me. And these last, 6-7 months, and I've felt, and one thing that I've changed, and I will say this, is I've been more selfish about this journey with myself than any other time. I'm doing things that 100% make me happy. I am, I've put things off in my, let's say, job or work career. I'm working more on me than I am working more about. I'm working harder on making a life than I am working on making a living, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And ever since I have done that and been selfish and doing things that make me happy, that has contributed to everything that is going on right now. And when stuff gets on a low point, or I have some negativity that comes in, instead of using food to cope with that negativity, or going to food to maybe fix whatever I'm feeling in that moment, I now channel that energy to something else. And it's taken a long time. Obviously, I'm 42. I've been overweight since the age of 6, all through my pretty much junior high adulthood. But I've finally figured this out for myself. I have finally found I've finally figured this out. It's crazy. I feel that way. And I love waking up. I love, as you were saying about going from different size clothing and everything. I have always had this. I've always told everyone I was 500 and something pounds. Then I was able to tell people that I'm 400. Now I was able, the biggest milestone was being able to tell people I'm 3 something. Now I'm 41 pounds, if you want to say getting down to 299, to be able to tell people now I'm in the 200s. I have taken all of these big time goals and I've sunk them into like the smaller type goals. And that has helped me being able to achieve the things now. It's more about, yes, I have numbers but I don't ever, my biggest thing right now is I don't ever want to be complacent with a number or telling you that I have this end goal of where I want to be. Because as soon as I put an end to it, or I put some sort of final number to it, then and become complacent, then I will lose everything that I've done, and I will stop trying. And that's how I feel. So
Yeah.
I've made a promise to myself that I will never, ever, ever be complacent again. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to continue to do this and hope that I get down to like 115 pounds, because you and I and the world knows that's pretty much impossible. That it's just not it's not going to happen for me. But, you know, and I'm not looking to be 150. I have, you know, like I was a 9X, 8X, 7X, 6X, 5X. Now I can really fit into a 3X shirt, but I buy 4Xs just because my mind is still on that. I want stuff a little bit, you know, baggy, whatever. But I can buy a 3X t-shirt now, and that's like incredible to me. And pretty soon it'll be a 2X and so on and so forth. But it's these smaller type goals that I've created for myself. And I've created goals to make me to make me happy so that I can be successful. And that's how I'm living, you know, my life this time around.
Now, you touched upon a point. You said that, you know, you've married with kids, and it doesn't matter from my experience and from everything that I see in this community and life in itself, I guess. It doesn't matter if you're married and have kids. It doesn't matter. You will love them as much as you can love anybody, but that doesn't reflect how you feel about yourself.
Amen.
And do you love yourself? Like, you know, 5 years ago, me being on camera, me being on doing anything with people looking at me was not something that I wanted to do. That's why I don't even have a lot of before photos, because I would be the one I'll take the pictures. I didn't want to be the fat guy in the pictures, you know? And I mean, there's obviously some pictures out there of me, but that self-loathing, you don't even realize it's self-loathing until it starts to go away. Like, yeah, I've always been a happy person. I've always been, you know, a good, happy, go lucky person. But the root of it is, was I really happy with where I was, with who I was? On the outside, no. Was I still a good person? Sure.
Yeah.
But when you look back, when you look in on yourself, you're never happy. You know, you're not happy with what you see in the mirror. You're not happy with how you feel. You're not healthy. You know you're not healthy. And that's all I really want for anybody, is to find what makes you healthy so you can find your happiness. Because happiness is overall happiness, I should say, is what you're looking for. But when people sit there and go, am I happy? Well, you know, that giddy happy is fleeting, right? That's, you know, seeing your granddaughter when she comes over and tells you she's your best friend, you know, those things are what happiness is. But if you're not able to enjoy that or recognize that for what it is, I think then I want people to be open enough with themselves to know and be honest enough with themselves to go forward and make the changes they need to make. Because I can walk through the grocery store every day for 10 years and give a business card to everybody I see who's overweight, or somebody who's riding in one of those carts and they've got their stuff full of Cheerios and Oreos and full sugar sodas, and it's not going to make a difference because they're not. I know where I was, and I would have been mad if somebody did that to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean that I don't want to do those things, because I know what it was like to be big. I know what it was like to feel those things, be that person, at least on that level, and feel helpless. But I don't think if somebody came to me and was like, hey, here's the solution, I'd be like, pfft. But I want people to be able to find that however they find it. So I figure if I can do something like this and talk with people that have found their own path, and that's why I don't want to only talk to keto people. I want to talk to some vegan people. I want to talk to all kinds of people, because people who have found a path for themselves is what I want. I want to hopefully share that enough to where people can find their way, because I know how long it took me to find my way. You know how long it took you to find your way.
Yep.
And the sooner we find it, the happier our lives will actually be, I think.
100% agree. And I just, I've promised myself that I'm not gonna sacrifice or give up the things that make me happy, because when I do, I will lose effort in what I'm trying to accomplish.
100%. And I'm the same way. So when I'm being strict with myself, I feel my best. I'm not feeling bloated. I'm feeling good about myself. I'm able to be more productive. And I think being more productive at this time is something that I have to struggle with as well. But like when I am, whether it is I'm eating all the keto snacks or whatever, then that is something that impacts me. And I have my goals, and like you said, like just staying true to what you want is the biggest thing.
100%. I'm here. I'm finally, living instead of just breathing. And I do, man. I'm loving myself enough right now to take care of myself.
And that's the biggest thing. I think I see so many people who don't really care for themselves, and they can't figure out why they can't find happiness. They can't find why they can't find this or that, whatever it is. And it's like, you have to find your goals. You have to find what it is you're looking for. And I don't know. I mean, it's not like it's a secret to happiness. Like it's like I have the secret to happiness, or you have it, or just because we're losing weight and, and making ourselves healthier doesn't mean we have the answers. But I think we at least know the direction we're going.
It's just it's a contributor to life in general. I mean, why live life negative in a negative light? It's not healthy. I did it for the longest time. It's not to say I still don't struggle with some negativity in my life. It's life. And that's why I was saying, and I circulated back around to, my own personal quote and motto about, stop making life your excuse and make life your reason. Make life the reason, not the excuse. Life is going to happen. You're going to get a flat tire. You're going to lose your job. You're, not going to have enough money in the bank to pay the bills. You're, endless situations for anybody and anyone that, but just those types of things and the negative that was in my life would have derailed me and threw me completely off track, and I would have said, screw this, and given up. I'm now learning that that's just a part of it's a part of life, and I can have my moment, but then I can also learn to still be happy with and appreciate what it is that I do have, or what I strive to have, and be happy doing it.
I still have those fleeting moments, well, I'm gonna go get a sheet cake, or I'm gonna go get a big ice cream, or whatever, like I'm just having a bad day. I'm gonna go and eat my feelings away. I have those. I have those, I have those days where I don't want to get out of bed. I have those days where, does it all seem worth it? I mean, we're human beings. We have those days. It's a matter of, do you let those days get the better of you, or do you just get up anyway, I guess?
Still got to get up.
Still got to get up. You still got to go do whatever. Like if I'm at the grocery store, I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to, I'm going to stick to the steaks and, get the hamburger and, do what it is that I've got to do. Because I know at the end of the day, what's going to make me feel better, what's going to keep my life on track. And I'm lucky enough that my wife does keto too. My son, the only one who lives at the house still, he fights it, but we don't buy anything that's not keto for the house. But when he's over, like he spends, like it's summertime, so he's over at his sister's house all the time, and he eats whatever they have. So it's what it is. He's 17. And then our granddaughter, she comes over and I watch her through the week. And so I make sure that she has her snacks, because I know that, mommy and daddy are going to give her maybe not the best stuff, but I'm not going to be the one giving her the candy. I make her, like today for her lunch, I made her some eggs and some string cheese and some blackberries is what she likes, and some sugar-free, like whipped cream. She calls it dip. And,
Is it charging?
I just try to make sure that I'm setting her up for life. That's what I would want someone to do for me if they were my grandparent or whatever, but I don't know. But you're right. I will always, as far as I can see, never stop doing what I'm doing as far as the ketogenic lifestyle. Now, what ketogenic lifestyle looks like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I don't know, because it doesn't look like it did when, 5 years ago. So it's an ever evolving kind of way of looking at how I provide nutrition and sustenance to my body. So, but I don't see myself going back to eating carbs all the time. I had a friend the other day who asked me, he was like, do you think he's like, why don't you just go back to eating whatever you want and just be like in moderation and whatever, because, you look like you've kind of plateaued. And I'm like, one, I feel great. I may not be losing weight as fast as I'd like to, or my clothes aren't fitting as well as I want to, but I feel good when I wake up in the morning. And I still have my mental clarity. I still have everything, all the benefits that I get from eating this way. And I know that if I were to go back and eat the way that I was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, I'd be right back in the situation that I was 5 years ago. Yeah. Be over 400 pounds again and wondering where I went wrong. But I'd get to go have pizza with my buddy everyone, you know what I mean? But, So I think people don't understand that, and I don't know. And I think a lot of people struggle because, like, maybe their spouse isn't fully supportive. Maybe they still bring in the cookies and the chips into the house, or the kids still have the fruit snacks or potato chips or whatever it is that, that kids eat, that, whatever. And the juices and whatever, and that stuff, I mean, if you see that day in and day out, then, well, maybe just today I'll have some. Oh, maybe, those wheat thins look good. Let me have a couple of those. Because I can't say that the kids haven't had Doritos over at the house and I haven't had one or two of them, because they're right there. They're looking me in the face.
Yeah. And I may get back to that point, and that, like I was touching on it with you, like I've got two girls here. They're still different snacks and stuff. They're still not 100% healthy food in my house. But that's the whole thing of I need to be okay with that, because it's the whole purpose of, I may go anywhere and I'm going to have temptation wherever I go. Where in the past, I couldn't control that. And if it were there and I could sneak it or I could have it, then sometimes I would. Where now I think and it's a good thing, I think I'm so scared that I think I've scared myself so much that I won't do that. I won't go there anymore. I have no urge, I have no desire to, you know, if there's, you know, candy on the counter from Halloween, that I'm gonna go to it. You know, I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna think about it, but I'm not gonna. I'm at least right now, and is because this means so much to me and what I'm trying to accomplish, that I'm stronger than that now.
And that's inspirational to me. I mean, even I've been doing this for 5 years, and being around someone like you, or being, you know, close to someone like you, whether it be Instagram or this podcast or whatever, it's still so important to me to follow people that are dedicated and have at least some of a shared experience with life that I have, because then it's easy for me to go, okay, we had some of the same experiences. We've been able to come through some of the same stuff, and we're both making it out, and I can follow what he's doing, and, you know, whatever the case is. And I can see, okay, you're doing something that keeps me going. So, I mean, that's why I do Instagram too, is sometimes I feel like it's, well, Instagram for me sometimes is putting on airs sometimes, like, well, this is what I'm making, this is keto, this is that, and then like that next day I go and have like pad thai or something, you know what I mean? And I feel like, but I don't post that. But I mean, so I kind of feel like sometimes that's kind of disingenuous, but
it's nice to it's so easy to post the good things, because I'm like, I don't normally, if something negative's going on, I don't normally pick up my phone to snap a picture of it. Right. But if something positive's going on in my life, yeah, you know what I mean? So I get it, but it's always, I do feel now that it's very important to be transparent. So there's times where I get on, and I do more for people that, you know, follow me on Instagram. I do more stories and that type of thing than I do post on my feed. And I try to be transparent with, you know, if I got something that's negatively affecting me, you know, and I've had those moments, and I've popped on and I've expressed, you know, how I was feeling, and you know, what was going on. And I think that's important. It's not only important for people that are following me and maybe following me because there's other Jesses out there that are looking for a voice or for some sort of help. And I'm hoping that I do provide that. But I think it's also important that it gives me some structure to that in this learning process, and not only and like learning myself, and like I was saying, fix what's above the shoulders, that I have the opportunity to go back and look at those moments and reflect on them and understand and look back, you know, whether it be a year from now, 6 months from now, whatever, I can go back and look at those and learn what was going on during that period of time and how I did overcome it, or what might have triggered for me to do something that, you know, it's just, I think it gives, it puts me in check, and it really, what I'm looking,
it keeps you grounded.
It keeps me grounded, and it lets me really know what reality really is. That I'm not, that even through this phone and through Instagram or whatever, that I'm not living this, you know, a fantasy world, you know, where, and that's like, you know, you can go and scroll up and down Instagram, you can scroll up and down Facebook, you know, and you tend to see the best of everyone's life, when, you know, behind the scenes, it's not like that all the time, you know. Listen, so just I've promised myself that I would be 100% transparent with my audience, but also transparent with myself, so that I could truly learn at the end of the day. And when I lay my head down at night and I wake up the next morning, that you know, like I did the best in this journey that I could for that day.
And I think that's all we can ask of ourselves. I think just being open and honest as much as we can, you know, I mean, because one, we had to be open and honest to ourselves, but to be open and honest to our family and loved ones. And then if we're going to do the social media thing, we've got to be open and honest with them as well. I mean, but not every facet needs to be aware of every other facet, right? So, I mean, I don't post pictures of my granddaughter on my Instagram really, but you know, I might post them on my Facebook, but that's not so public. But
Right.
you know, I definitely don't put her on YouTube, but I mean, there's just aspects of life that need to be shared and some that don't. So, I mean, I think just coming at this with good intentions and wanting to do things like pay it forward and kind of showcase the struggles that we've found and so far the successes that we found and the setbacks we've had. Like, you know, we both had our setbacks in 2020 and we both, you know, have started to kind of come out of that. And I mean, if anybody came out of 2020 totally unscathed, I'd kind of worry about him in the first place. But I mean, I don't know. I think we're heading into a good place. I mean, I hope things overall get better as time goes forward. I know that at least in our community, we're a tight knit community for the most part, and I'm very thankful for that. So, I mean, I'm thankful that you agreed to come on the show today. So,
I enjoyed. I love sharing my story in the hopes that there is others out there that may be searching for this type of content or searching for someone that may be that they can relate to. And I've always said, if this reaches someone, and even if it's just one person, then it was totally worth it. And that one person could be you and I by having this conversation with each other. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And that's, you know, and it's these connections that, you know, making this, meeting you, you know, finally, you know, face to face doing this, and it'll be that long lasting relationship that just evolves into something big. I mean, it is, man. It's, you know, look, we are men, and men's mental health is very, very important. And sometimes you know, whether they're a million miles away or not, sometimes you need a shoulder to, you know, whether you want to say cry on, lean on, or, you know, to be able to reach out to someone and just, you know, and it's that you know, it's crazy in this community, you know when someone truly cares, when just, and it's amazing how the world works and everything, but you could be not expecting to hear from someone at all, and it's that out of the blue type, just want to check in and see how you're doing.
Oh, there's nothing better than that.
That there is nothing better than that. And when it happens at those magical type moments, and what I mean by that is like, you know, you needed it, and somehow you were asking for it, and whether without directly coming out and asking for it, in some way, somehow, someone, whether you posted something, that's why I'm saying being transparent, because if people are really paying attention, they'll pick up on those things, and you will get that type of response. You know, someone will know, you'll post something, someone will know. And for those that really care, you'll find that they they take a moment out for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's sometimes all it takes is just that moment. You don't even have to know you needed it. It just kind of comes through.
And sometimes you need it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you need it more than you need like your own family members to reach out to you. You want it to come from someone like that. And sometimes you want it to come from your immediate family when you're not getting it, you know, and you know, like you may not always have everyone may not always agree or be on your side with what your path is. And you need to be okay with that. That's, you know, because it's not about anybody else but you. And
For sure.
And I will stress that big time. It's gotta be about you before it's about anybody else. And I used to struggle with that in the past. And that's why I'm saying this time around, I'm being a lot more selfish to the things that I want out of this for me personally. That I don't apologize. I'm going to piss some people off in this process. And where in the past I was not okay with that, I'm okay with that now. And that's going to help me beat the one thing that has beaten me for like all my life.
I don't think I could say it any better than that. Well, I do appreciate you being on here with me today. And I think we had a wonderful conversation. I think we'll go ahead and leave it at that. It's been like about an hour and a half. I know you've had a lot of things going on the last couple of days. I have too. So we'll go ahead and we'll meet back up again. We'll have you on again at another time. I'm looking forward to your continued progress. And really means a lot to me that you came on and you had this conversation with me today. I mean, it's really awesome to get to know you and a little bit more than just seeing pictures and stories and stuff. So thank you.
Appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, 100% keep in touch. And I know we will. I absolutely know we will. And, I'm glad we got to connect, this way and here's to our futures, man, because, we'll, let's continue to be there for one another and continue doing what we're doing, man. I appreciate you for someone that has, done it as long as you have and continued, because that gives me hope that I can continue to do this for multiple years in time, because I don't want to give this up.
And I feel that way too. Like, I feel like if I can do this, anybody can do it. And I know that that's probably not necessarily the case, but I just kind of feel like where I came from, that, I mean, if I've been able to at least see consistent success over the last 5 years, I may not be like some people will get into keto and they'll lose everything and be 180 pounds and fit and shredded. And I'm still here kind of dumpy. And like, I know that everybody's process and path is going to be different, and just kind of showcasing that, showing that you keep chugging on, you keep doing what you're doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing where you go. And I'm looking forward to posting and kind of keeping everybody abreast of what I'm doing and my successes. And I need to do better with my failures too. But I mean, I don't know. That's always more difficult. But do you want to, I know you have in your description, you have your kind of your Instagram name there, and I can put it on the screen as well for people who watch this. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with everybody?
No, I mean, we didn't touch on it, and it's, but one thing that, I am very passionate since my weight loss, I've picked up the game of golf, and I'm very passionate. It's like, I mean, it means, so much to me. It's provided, like I said, that happiness. I am in my element when I'm golfing. So I do have a golf page that I also share some of my weight loss on there as well. But yeah, I mean, anyone that's looking for me can reach out to me on, Instagram at, Ruin Y Keto Guy. And then I have my golf page, and you can find me on there too. And then I do have YouTube. I don't do it as much as I should, but like I said, where I'm most active and where you can get a hold of me, and please reach out to me. I'm an open book for anyone that wants to ask questions or wants any type of advice or just to connect, man, and have like another friend that's in the weight loss, community. It doesn't have to be about, keto, whatever path we discuss, that you're on. But yeah, I mean, I'm most active on Instagram, and that's probably where, you'll find me, day in and day out.
And what state are you in?
I'm in Michigan.
Michigan. Oh, so we're not that far away. I'm in Indiana. I'm down. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm in Indianapolis. So I'm not that far away from Michigan.
We are a stone skip away, and we'll have to at some point, meet each other halfway or something.
I'm totally down with that, man. I know I'll be up later this year. I'll be in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is like almost up like towards the Michiana border, if you will. I'm going to see a band called the Black Dahlia Murder.
Okay.
So trying to get back to that, seeing live shows. That's so important to me. So
it's going to happen here, man. I'm looking forward to wife and I have some concerts and stuff that we bought tickets for. We're waiting like almost 2.5 years now to go to one concert, and they keep on pushing it. So, but it's been said that 2021 it'll be here. So,
well, I've got tickets that have been pushed back. I got them in. I think I bought them in 2019 for 2020, and they were pushed to 2021, and then they were pushed to 2022. So they're in like January. I've got 2 different dates. I've got an Indianapolis date and a Louisville, Kentucky date for a band called Circus Survive. And I had a Fort Wayne date, but that one actually just got canceled. I guess they moved it, and then they couldn't move it anymore. So,
well, yeah, we're close enough that we can make it happen. So let's we'll figure that out. We'll plan it, and we'll get together. We'll do in the same room episode.
That'll be dope. I look forward to it. Thank you. Thanks again so much.
Dawson, thank you, buddy.